everyone, it's Lori with Main Street Gardener. I may garden in Zone 7B outside the DC area. Now today I am here in my kitchen and that's for a couple reasons. One, I'm going to be doing some seed starting today, and you may be watching lots of videos about seed starting, but I thought I'd bring you along to tell you about 3 ways that you could start the famous and easiest to grow cut flower snapdragons. So I'm in my kitchen because I need lots of light. These seeds are tiny. My seed starting room is in my basement and it's not the brightest. And so I thought it would be much easier to bring these up here, get them all sown really fast, and then I'll take them back down and I'll show them to you in the actual grow room. All right, so let me talk about what I have for supplies today. I do have my tidy tray. I love this. I got this one from Gardener Supply. You can get something similar off other sites. For seed starting mix, I've ordered these small bags of Espoma seed starting. I also have some Miracle Grow that was at my local garden center. I really like the Espoma. I've had great success, so I just try to order it online, but really you can use any seed starting mix. Now we are going to add lots of water to this today in our tray. We want the water to have moisture. We don't want it to be mud, but we definitely want it to be really wet. These seeds like moisture to germinate, and because they're so tiny, you don't want to spray them too hard once we sow them. So we're going to make sure our soil is very moist. All right, next thing is the containers. So today I want to tell you about 3 ways that you could grow snapdragon seeds. The first is absolutely the easiest, and I think it's an extremely successful way to grow snapdragons, and that is winter sowing. Now, winter sowing, if you're a newer gardener, is where you take a container. You can use anything. One of the most famous methods is to use a milk carton that you cut kind of in half. This is actually a grape container where grapes come in. You can also use salad containers. So throughout the fall and winter, I will save plastic containers. I love the grape container. It's just the perfect size, but it also already has holes in it. The trick is you want the container where it can get some sunlight. Think about a mini greenhouse, but you also want where water, snow, moisture can come in. Okay, so we're going to do winter sowing. Then we are going to do what I call the English method. So I love Sarah Raven out of the UK. I love watching her videos and her garden. I have her books, and that's where I first learned about using trays, and mine have just been washed, to sow your snapdragons. So that method is also recommended on the back of the Johnny Seeds pack. So this is where we are going to just surface sow. And then in, I think it's a week or so, let's see, it says transplant when the first true leaves appear, 3 to 4 weeks. So we've got about a month from now. So for me, that's going to be like the end of February, where I will have little baby plants and they will have their first true set of leaves, and then we can transplant them into our regular seed containers. So that's the English method. I have watched various gardeners do that method and it works great. It also makes it so easy because these seeds are so tiny. So you can almost row spread them. The other benefit is you can thin them out when it is time. Now, you may be thinking a lot of seedlings don't like to be transplanted. Well, snapdragons don't. It doesn't matter to them. It does not bother them at all. So this is going to be a great method if, especially you're like me, your eyesight may not be what it used to be, or if you just want to do this really quick and easy. This is a 5-minute gardening job. So we're going to do that method today. And then the last method is we are going to actually do them in our garden trays. Now this is if you don't want to have to transplant, you don't want to have to worry about it. These can grow and grow until you're ready to put them in the garden. This would work great, especially if you're maybe in a zone 8 or 9 and you need snapdragons to grow really fast to get them out in your spring gardens. So we're going to do some in here. But there's a trick to this method. First trick is you may want to select pelleted seeds. Pelleted seeds have a coating on them. I'll show you when we get started. Now I'm going to be doing the Potomac Yellow Snapdragon, which is pelleted. Now, again, I order from Johnny's Seeds for my Snapdragons, and they just give incredible information on the back. They tell you exactly when to transplant them, when to pinch them, and when to put them out in the garden. All right, so that's the pelleted. For my tray sowing, I'm going to be doing Maryland Lavender, Maryland Flamingo, Chantilly Pink. Those are the three I'm going to be doing there. And then I'm going to do 2 winter sowing. I have a Cans Red and a Cans Mix. And I decided for winter sowing to try the cans. The red, if it doesn't germinate or work, that's okay. I don't do a lot of red in my garden. But what I have learned over the years is a little pop of red really brings the garden to life. You don't even notice it as much, but it just brings all the colors together. So I have had red tulips, actually by mistake, but I loved them. I've had red geraniums, and then I had red gladiolus last year, and I loved them. So I'm going to start the Cans Red and the Cans Mix in the winter sowing. And that way we've got 3 ways to do Snapdragons. It also kind of breaks it up and makes it really easy to manage. Their growth will be a little different. I find the winter sowing is a little slower, so these won't be ready as early as probably our direct sowed, which will be our Potomac Yellow. All right, so let's get in and get started. First thing I'm going to do is get my soil all mixed. And we're going to just grab a bag. I'm going to use this entire bag today, I am sure. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up the entire bag. I'm going to try to be neat today because I am up in the kitchen. But again, I needed some really good light. All right, let's get our water added and we'll get it all mixed up. Okay, so for winter sowing, you've got, again, a couple options for containers. I'm going to go ahead and get started with this grape plastic container, and this could not be an easier process. So again, I'm just going to keep my glove on, and we're just going to fill the bottom. Now, this also has holes on the bottom. You don't have to have those if you're using a milk jug. This will help, with letting any water come out. Now you don't need a ton of soil, so probably just a nice layer. I think that's going to be plenty because you're going to transplant these out once they kind of start growing out of the container. So it's not like you need a ton of soil. I find that they just fill up and are so pretty, and then you can pick them and transplant them either into a container if you're in a colder zone, or you can go ahead and put them in your garden. Okay, so that is the first container. Now for our milk carton, what you want to do is just pop a hole. You can use a knife. I just like to use scissors, and you're just going to come and cut around. You don't want to go all the way. You want to leave it connected. So I just like to come right to the end of where the holder is, and then you just kind of pop it open. Now, I cut mine a little shallow, but that's going to be just fine for these Snapdragons. Okay, what we're going to do is fill it with dirt. Once we plant, we will tape this up around the sides. We're going to leave the top off so that it will get all the moisture. Now, you could punch holes in the bottom. I haven't had an issue with that. If you're in a really rainy area, you may want to do that. Okay, let's get this one filled up. So I'll show you that one. Okay, and now we are ready for our seeds. Now, again, I'm going to do the cans red and the cans mix, and we're not going to use the whole pack of seeds because these seeds, they have a lot, 50 seeds in them. You do not want to use the whole container. 50 seeds, they would just get overcrowded. So we're just going to make little rows, just spread, maybe 12 seeds, really, really light and simple amount. Okay, so this is really my favorite way to do snapdragons. So we are just going to load this with some soil. Again, about the same amount as we did before, because remember, we're going to transplant these in just a month. So they don't need a whole lot of soil in the container because they're going to get transplanted. They just need enough to get germinated and started. So I've only filled up this tray. It's probably a couple inch tray. I filled it up halfway. That's going to be plenty. So I'm going to go ahead and fill my other containers while I have my gloves on. And we're just going to get this added. Because remember, when you do the tray method, we're going to scatter them or do them in rows. And then in about a month, we will have true leaves, and then we'll be able to come in and move them into larger containers. Now, if you don't like, or that's too much of a process, then I would encourage you to get pelleted seeds, and that way you can sow them in trays. Now, if you have great eyes, you might be able to put them in your other grow containers. Or if you, I know some people use the water toothpick method. There's lots of ways to deal with snapdragons, but I think this is the easiest. It does require transplanting them, but to me, that's okay. I think you also get more germination. So let's get started with this first tray. And I'm going to do the Chantilly light pink because I do want a lot of these. So let's just see how many are in this container. Now, the great thing is with Johnny Snapdragons, I checked the back. All of these have the same instructions. So that's the good news. All right, now this container's a lot larger. This says, again, a minimum of 50 seeds. So there's all these tiny black seeds. This packet definitely has more. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pinch some. And I'm just going to, you kind of rub your fingers together and I'm going to drop them kind of in rows. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm going to try to do this right-handed. Just going to go down the middle, sprinkle them around. Now if I definitely counted these, so I'm just going to sit this on top until I get my labels, and then let's do the next one. This is going to be Maryland Flamingo. So next we're going to do the Maryland Lavender. Okay, so number 3 is going to be filling the seed tray with dirt, and then I'll show you these pelleted seeds. All right, you guys, so it looks like I'm going to use every bit of that bag. So it's pretty interesting. I like to think about how much material it takes. And for seed starting, a bag of dirt goes a really long way. I mean, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6 seeds that we are starting, and it really only took 1 bag of seed. Now, for these cell trays, you do want to make sure that it is full. So I am going in and making sure I've got every bit of dirt that I can to make sure these trays are as full as possible. Because you're going to leave your seeds in here until they're ready to go outside. You're not going to transplant these. So unless you start them really early and they need to go into another container. And these are the pelleted seeds. Okay, so these are going to be Potomac Yellow. And let me show you. They come in a little container.
Okay, so here are the pelleted seeds, and let me show you. They're usually yellow and just really, really tiny, but much easier to manage. I can get one up with my finger or fingernail really easily. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and try to put one in each cell. So we're just gonna lay them on top. I may add a little bit of vermiculite, and we will do just a sprinkle of water, and that's gonna be it. So this is really super easy. Now, I typically try to do just one a cell, but if you're concerned about germination, you could always do more than one, but really with snapdragons, there's not a problem. All looks good. So we've got some extra seeds. Now these were pelleted, so I'm gonna put these back in the little plastic container, which makes it so handy. All right, so our last step, we are gonna moist these with water. Then I'm gonna take them down. I do need to label them. We're gonna add some vermiculite and get them under grow lights. It says they need warmth, so I am gonna turn on the heat mat, and they need light. So I'm gonna put my lights really low.
Just remember, when you water seeds like snapdragons that are on top of the soil, just finely miss them. You don't want to accidentally lose your seeds by them blowing off or away. Now we're just going to tape up the outdoor milk jug container. You just want to take it up so that you don't get any critters in there, and also to prevent extra moisture. You don't want to drown your seeds that are in the container. Leaving the top is perfect. You'll just get enough water so that they'll germinate and grow. So I am placing my seeds in my growing station, but I'm also putting them under a heat mat. So a heat mat is going to keep the seeds around 70 degrees. The heat mat just is a soft, warm blanket for the seeds. Snapdragons do require temperatures of about 70 degrees or greater to germinate. So you do want to keep that on until you get your first set of true leaves. You also want to keep your lights pretty close, as they need light to germinate. Once they get their true set of leaves, you can put them in a cooler condition and they'll continue to grow. So while your seedlings are here growing, you want to keep the grow lights down. You want to be sure that you water them check them every day, every 3 days. You do want to keep them moist, especially until you start to see the little seeds germinate. So let's run outside and I'll show you where I put the winter sowing.
Okay, so it is an absolutely gorgeous day today. It's finally warming up a little and the sun's out, really, really nice. So I've got my 2 containers, and I think I'm just going to sit them kind of right over here in the garden so that I can keep an eye on them. At some point, I'll probably move them to the back. But for now, I'm just going to sit them up here. I know that they get lots of sunshine and they will get moisture. So just going to kind of tuck it in there and tuck this one in. Maybe right there. And this way I can kind of keep an eye on them, see what growth I'm getting, and then I can tuck them in to the back of the garden as spring erupts. Okay, I'm going to take this back down to the seed starting room. We got this project all finished. I really hope that you'll consider trying different methods of sowing your seeds this season. It can add a lot of interest, a lot of fun, and it's just some different ways to grow seeds. If you're a beginner, try some of these easy methods. You can get snapdragon seeds even at the local big box stores, at your local garden centers, and they're just so beautiful. They make a great cut flower and plenty of bloom. So thanks so much for watching. Click like, subscribe, and I'll see you in a couple days on the next video.